Good morning. This is the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Friday, November 9th. It has been a dry couple of weeks. The past week on the left and the past 2 weeks on the right-hand side, you could see at least the southern half to two-thirds of the Great Basin, little to no rainfall, just either nothing in the white or just a few hundredths of an inch, which is not much considering the time of year and the 2-week stretch through here. The only areas that did receive significant rainfall, higher terrain of Idaho and parts of Wyoming, where anywhere from a half-inch to an inch and a half of rainfall or snowfall equivalent has occurred. And that dry weather in our southern half and eastern and the western portion of our area has really pushed 100-hour fuels down to late summer levels in some spots, down into the mid single digits here across most of Nevada and the southern two-thirds of Utah, and even some stations reporting lower than 5, low single digits on the 100-hour fuels, which is typical of midsummer. Looking at new snowfall over the past 24 hours, did get a couple of inches, maybe 1 to 3 inches across the higher terrain of central Idaho, a bit more across the Tetons, maybe 6 to 10 inches of snowfall there. On the right-hand side, you see our snow cover map gradually getting a little bit larger each and every day across the higher terrain of central Idaho, mostly above 6,000 feet, and across most of western Wyoming and eastern Idaho as well as some of the highest elevations of the Uintas and the high Wasatch as well. Otherwise, the mountains of Nevada, the Rubies through the Sierra, basically snow-free at this point. Satellite imagery shows another frontal system coming down across the Pacific Northwest into the northern Rockies. This will reinforce the cold air over us and the northerly flow. High pressure with warm air off the west coast of California and affecting parts of California with dry weather and northerly downslope winds, which is causing some of their fire activity at the current time. So looking at this afternoon, as we go into the weather map, there's that frontal system across parts of Washington into northern Idaho and Montana with clouds and showers and snow. Drier through here across the southern portion of the Great Basin. Dispersion conditions worsening a bit across Nevada and parts of Utah, better across the far south where they have abundant sunshine. Light winds across most of Nevada and Utah, partly responsible for the poor dispersion. Better winds to the far south and to the north with that frontal system. Now on Saturday, notice these yellow height lines pack more closely together, more upper level winds. This will increase or improve the dispersion, so you see more areas of white here and yellow indicating better dispersion, the worst dispersion remaining across our far western areas. Transport winds mainly from the northwest, the strongest winds gusting of over 25 miles per hour across parts of Idaho. Otherwise, 10 to 20 mile per hour transport winds mostly out of the northwest as we go through Saturday. Mixing heights pretty poor vertically across parts of Nevada, but improving as you head further to the east and to the north. On Sunday, big high pressure area building across west coast. This will worsen the fire situation across California. For us here in the Great Basin, some warming across the western half of the Great Basin, but cooler northerly flow across the eastern portion of the Great Basin, as well as parts of Idaho and Wyoming, but mostly on the dry side. Dispersion, you see a lot more areas in the white through here, especially across the eastern half of the Great Basin away from the high pressure ridge. And again, light transport winds across parts of Nevada, but much stronger transport winds out of the west across Idaho, Wyoming, and still decent transport winds across southern Nevada and southern Utah. Good mixing heights where you see the yellow and orange here on the right-hand side. And the Utah Clearing Index, you see it's pretty low conditions Friday, areas in the purple and blue. But as you look at the bar on top, as it improves, you see more areas in the orange and red, as mixing overall improves significantly as we go through the weekend. No significant precipitation for most of the year, maybe some light precipitation, light snow showers across the highest terrain of Idaho and parts of western Wyoming, otherwise dry. Monday, there's that high pressure building, some more warming and drying across the Great Basin, especially the western half. On the right-hand side, the ventilation index, or basically the dispersion, best across southern eastern areas, getting a bit worse across Nevada and into parts of Idaho, as well as high pressure starts pushing into Idaho as well. That high pressure flattens out a bit on Tuesday. Poor overall dispersion continues across lots of areas. By Wednesday, we start seeing the storm track starting to intensify. More storms off the Gulf of Alaska coast starting to push into the Pacific Northwest. Big frontal system approaching the Pacific Northwest on Thursday could play a role in next weekend's weather across the Great Basin. But overall, we have weak high pressure overhead, so dispersion overall not as good as we go through the week next week. Precipitation accumulation, days 4 and 5 as we go through Tuesday through Thursday. Again, nothing across the area. The 8 to 14-day outlook, taking us from November 16th to the 22nd, indicates still above normal temperatures across the Great Basin, drier than normal conditions. So for burning, as long as you're not too dry, you should have plenty of good burning. You'll have to watch the dispersion index each and every day, though, for any fluctuations. This concludes our briefing. Our next briefing will be next week. We will have no briefing on Monday, which is a federal holiday. Have a great day.